Nothing easy. Nothing easy. We're going to game 7, baby. Game 7. Game 7.
We're going to game 7. The Kings cruise. They cruise to a game 6 victory in San Francisco by 19 points, holding the Warriors under 100 points. Game 6, Clay, was nowhere to be seen. And now we get to see game 7 Huerter in Sacramento on Sunday. I saw Kings fans, like everyone on Twitter was like, "Oh, it's been a great season, we'll get them next year." And I mean, I was definitely not doing that. I didn't think the Kings were actually going to come in here and win this game necessarily, but everyone had like given up, it seemed like. But that's not what this Kings team does, and that's not what they've done this whole season. They are just relentless, and we're never going to go down without a fight. And I don't know, I guess the Warriors just expected it to be easy because there was not much fight from them in this game. And the Kings were in control. After that first quarter, the Kings were in control for most of the game. And that was with some questionable officiating that even the ESPN broadcast was calling out, with Sabonis getting called for a foul while in a chokehold and Sabonis getting bashed in the eye. He fouled out. Terrence Davis fouled out, but it didn't matter. Sabonis, he didn't have the best game. He didn't shoot well, but I did think he was actually okay in this one, and the Kings had a very good rating with him on the floor, a very good net rating, that is. And then, but the best part about this game was when he went off the floor, the Kings were still really good because he only played 23 minutes in this game due to that foul trouble, and it was just other guys stepping up. And the big talking point in this game is the rotation from Mike Brown. And it was very much we are going to run the Warriors into the ground. And, the Kings are a younger team than the Warriors. And Mike Brown all series has been talking about running, but it was at another level today. And a lot of that had to do with the rotations. There was only 1 day of rest in between this game and the last game. And I think that's the first time that's been the case in this series. And there's only going to be 1 day of rest in between the next game. And the Kings took advantage. And I think that you could see it was making a difference. The Warriors were tiring out. And I think the biggest indicator of that is the free throws. Steph Curry doesn't miss free throws. He missed 3. He missed 3 free throws. The Warriors as a whole missed 10 free throws. They got 35 attempts, only made 25. Wiggins was missing a bunch late. He missed 3. And Jordan Poole, who's obviously a great free throw shooter, also went 2 for 4. And Malik Monk said it after the game. He's like, there's only one day of rest, and we know we can run. We can outrun these guys, and we're going to try to do the same thing next game. And so Mike Brown, he pulled Alex Len from the rotation, went with Trey Lyles as a small ball 5, and that's something that worked in the regular season, and I think it especially works against the Warriors rotation. I was actually surprised that we didn't do that at the start of the series. I was someone who wanted Alex Len to play, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. But, Mike Brown did go with Alex Len at the start of the series. And Alex Len was good, actually really good. But Trey Lyles at the 5 seemed to be the answer. The rotations in this game were wild. We had Harrison Barnes playing 15 minutes compared to Keegan Murray playing 45 minutes. Keegan Murray played 45 minutes, a rookie in a playoff game who sucked for the first 3 games, played 45 minutes in an elimination game. That's insane. And Harrison Barnes, the vet, only played 15 minutes. And, we had Terrence Davis coming in and given 19 minutes. And so it was very much Mike Brown wanted to just run. And so it was all guards all the time. And Kevin Herter was horrible in the first half, was horrible to start the third quarter. It didn't matter. Mike Brown just kept him out there just because I think that was the lineup that he wanted to play in terms of the personnel he wanted out there. He wanted just guards. And the weird part to me was not playing Davion Mitchell much. And a lot of people, including myself, wanted him in the starting lineup for Kevin Herter. And instead, Mike Brown went the other way. I think the reason he did that was because if you're gonna go smaller, he didn't want the super small Davion Mitchell out there with Fox, with Monk. So he would rather have a bigger guy, a 6'7" guy in Herter, even if Herter isn't as good defensively or anywhere close. Herter still can contribute to rebounding a lot more, even though he, only got one rebound, but he can contribute with his length. And, I thought Herter was pretty good defensively in this game. It was just the offensive end where he was really struggling for most of it until he finally picked it up. There was a couple bad defensive plays, but overall I thought he was pretty good defensively, which we needed him to be. Same with Keegan Murray, right? Those are the two guys that for a lot of the regular season were the weak links defensively, and they weren't getting driven by. It seems like they've figured out how to play defense against this Golden State team. And it was just interesting to me that Mike Brown went with Kevin Herter over Harrison Barnes because, you could make the argument. I was wondering why Harrison Barnes wasn't in, and then it's like you could make the argument he hasn't been very good, which is true. But then you have Kevin Herter out there, so it's like that argument doesn't really work because Herter's been way worse. But I think it was just run and gun, and Kevin Herter is better at that than Harrison Barnes. And Kevin Herter finally showed up and hit 3 huge threes to, extend the lead and really put it away. And after struggling for 5.5 games, that was just so nice to see. Every time he shot, I was just like, please, please make it. And when they finally started going down, that was such a relief. And now, maybe he's got something going now. We see Game 7 Herter, like I said. He did it in the second round of the playoffs when he was with Atlanta against the Sixers. He went for 27, 28 points in a Game 7 in a win for Atlanta. Hopefully we can see that guy again. I think the interesting part about Keegan Murray playing so many minutes is, he started out the game shooting well, but he struggled in the second half scoring the ball. So that's not why he was out there. He was out there because he was actually playing really good defense and just contributing to winning in other ways. In that second half, the second half started out so weird for both teams. Both teams looked a little lost, especially the Warriors defensively. I expected the Warriors to come out all sharp, go on that run after the Kings were up 7 at halftime, but nope. They just leave Keegan Murray wide open. Then there's an offensive rebound. Kevin Herter wide open. He misses. Offensive rebound. Harrison Barnes open. Like, the Warriors were a mess defensively. They left Keegan Murray wide open under the rim at one point. But Keegan was just finding ways to contribute to winning in other ways. The Kings just did such a great job of team defense on Curry and on Clay. They made Clay work for everything, and Clay had a really rough one, going 2 for 9 from 3, 8 for 20 from the floor. 22 points on 20 shots is horrible. So great defense there from the Kings, and Jordan Poole continues to struggle pretty badly. Like Jordan Poole, he's so weird to watch. And I think a Dave DeFore tweet that I saw sums it up perfectly. It said, Jordan Poole looks like he plays with no bones in his body. He's just kind of flopping around everywhere. And that tweet was after he just bobbled the ball out of bounds. They need him to start getting something to go offensively because they just don't have enough offense right now, which is kind of a crazy thing to say. The Kings went, like I said, they went smaller, but they didn't put in Davion Mitchell, and I think it's because they didn't want to get killed on the boards, and they didn't want a guy like Wiggins to constantly be getting a switch that was really favorable. But there were times where Wiggins was getting switches onto, Terrence Davis. I mean, not even switches, just the matchup. And, he would back him down and score a few times, or there'd be an offensive rebound because the help had to come. But the Kings were just living with that because it didn't happen enough for the Kings to be too worried about it. The defensive activity was just really good from the start, and it started with Sabonis. Sabonis had a great start to this game. The box score will only tell you he had one steal, one block, but he was way better than that, defensively, altering shots and just forcing turnovers. So it started with him and just guys being active inside, not allowing those easy passes inside the paint, and then just not allowing Kevon Looney to get too many offensive rebounds. I mean, he had 6, which, normally you'd be like, that's a lot, but for what he's been doing, that's actually not that many, especially when other guys aren't getting them either. So I thought the Kings did a pretty good job rebounding the ball, and that was big. The bench just stepped up massively. Trey Lyles coming in, making plays, looked confident shooting the 3, but wasn't forcing that too many of them, was getting inside. Terrence Davis didn't force too much. He was a little erratic. It's just what Terrence Davis is. But he still gave solid minutes. And then, of course, Malik Monk was amazing, and we needed him to be. He had that great second half and especially fourth quarter in game 5, and he continued it for the whole game. And he did it in a way without turning the ball over very much. Only 3 turnovers compared to Fox and Sabonis with 5. Only 3 turnovers for him is pretty good. And he was just attacking the rim. Had 10 free throw attempts in this game, 8 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3. And I think we need him to do that because Fox, with his finger, you can obviously see he cannot dribble the same as he normally does, and that's why had so many turnovers. He just couldn't. He doesn't have the same handle, and that means he can't just carry the team in the fourth. And so we need Malik to be able to attack the basket in the fourth and be another ball handler, and that's what he did. And then there was that run in the third quarter where it was Fox driving, kicking out to Malik for 3, and then it was a 5-point game, and then the Warriors come back, hit a 3, so it's still a 5-point game, but then Malik drives, kicks out to Fox this time for 3, bang, and then another one, Fox drops it off to Monk in transition 3, so 3 straight threes, all of them involving Monk and Fox, and that was the best part of the game by far. Fox just had a super efficient game. 10 for 18 from the field, only 18 shot attempts. I mean, Keegan Murray had 17. So, Fox only playing 37 minutes. I mean, they did take him out, at the end. But 18 shot attempts that's like a regular season number for him, not a playoffs number. And so that really just shows how much everyone else was contributing, including the bench. And I also think that shows that Sabonis was actually having a solid game. Even though the numbers might not tell you it, I think Sabonis was better in this game. Also, I'm just looking at the stats. Sabonis had 9 offensive rebounds to 2 defensive rebounds. That's insane. And Keegan Murray had 5 offensive rebounds to go along with 7 defensive rebounds. But Sabonis was facilitating, getting Keegan open shots, getting other guys open shots, so Fox didn't have to do as much in terms of scoring the ball, and then 11 assists for Fox. And so it was just him and Monk being able to share the ball handling duties, which is big for Fox with his finger. He needs someone else to handle the ball, and just ultra efficient. And, not a huge scoring game, but 26 points, 11 assists is a great game for Fox. And there were a few times I think he was he's really trying to figure out how to score with his finger. And so They were talking about it on the local broadcast. Katie was talking about it, how he's putting it up high off the glass. You can tell his finish is different, and you could also see him just kind of snaking around inside, just keeping the dribble alive until he could flick it up there because he's not as confident in going up how he normally goes up. So he's adapted well to his, what he has going on. Also, Fox was just huge in terms of when the Warriors would go on a run. It seemed like they never got it below 6 or 5. Never got it below 5 really. And every time, including in the second quarter, they would score and get a little closer after maybe we had a double digit lead or so. Fox would just run it back the other way immediately and either score or set someone up. Every time the Warriors came close, Fox was making something happen immediately and not letting the Warriors gain any momentum. And, it's a risky thing because if you turn it over, you're giving them even more momentum. But when he scores or sets someone up and he's able to not turn it over, I mean, those are just momentum killers for the Warriors. So those are huge, huge plays. One area where the Kings have really struggled the last few games is ending quarters strong. Um, and the fourth quarter, not in this game, right? Because it was already over. But the rest of the quarters, they did not end them strong. They in the last 2 minutes of every quarter, like I swear, I don't know the numbers, but it sure seems like they average like 2 turnovers per end of quarter 2 minutes. They just waste these possessions. I can remember obviously the Fox rolling the ball up the floor and not grabbing it in time. You had Keegan Murray could have gone up for a layup or a dunk and tries to pass it. That gets turned over. Just guys not being smart with the ball at the end of quarters. And it gives the Warriors life, it gives them momentum. And the Kings were able to withstand it in this game, but it's something that's killed them in the other games that they didn't win. And so that's something they definitely need to improve on. But I really think that the Kings did avoid the massive momentum shifting shots, and a lot of that came down to not allowing offensive rebounds. There was that one offensive rebound that they got at the end of the second quarter that got tapped back out to Steph. They still forced a tough shot, and so he missed it, right? But those are the ones that can kill you. But they did a good job on that one. They also did a good job on another one of getting out to the shooters in time, even though they did allow the offensive rebound. But most of the time, they just weren't allowing the offensive rebound. Keegan was a huge part of that. Monk was also a huge part of that in terms of coming back and getting the rebounds. 7 defensive rebounds for Monk is not something you see every game. So shout out to him for that. It'll be really interesting to see if we stick with this rotation. Maybe Davion gets more minutes in the next one. I think it's possible Terrence Davis maybe gets less minutes if he comes out and doesn't play well, because Terrence Davis has those games where he can come out and he can hit 3 threes and play great, or he can come out and turn the ball over 3 times and allow a bunch of baskets. So, if you start to see that Terrence Davis, he could definitely get pulled from the rotation, and then Davion takes those minutes. It'll just be interesting to see. I assume we're going to stick with small ball. No Alex Len, that is. But, what happens with Barnes' minutes? I guess it's just if Barnes is contributing, if he's scoring, then maybe he gets left in. I'm not sure. Although Terrence Davis, there was a point in the game where it's like I didn't think he was playing very well, and he had a turnover, he had a bad 3-point attempt, and I was like, oh, he's getting pulled for sure, and he's not seeing the floor the rest of the game. But that wasn't the case. Mike Brown just kept going with him, and it was practically the same with Huerter. He just stuck with him, and to Mike Brown's credit, it worked really well. He didn't stick with Barnes, though, which is normally the guy that he sticks with the whole time. We just really need, if we're going to keep the same starting lineup. We need Barnes and Huerter to not both be liabilities on both ends, to be honest. You know, we can only have one liability on the court at a time, especially if, you know, other guys aren't playing perfect basketball pretty much. But you know, I feel Kevin Huerter, he's in it now. He's playing better now. Hopefully he can keep it going into this next game. One thing that I thought was interesting was Draymond Green having 26 minutes. I know he was in foul trouble, but I still feel like he was sitting more than he maybe should have before he picked up a lot of fouls. I thought that was interesting. And Jordan Poole was playing a lot more than I thought he would, but I guess they just needed offense. I mean, like, late in that game, they were down pretty big, so they pulled Kevon Looney and just went Jordan Poole and said, just chuck threes and see if you can get back in the game. But for them, Kevon Looney only had 1 assist, which is not normal. So I think that says a lot about the Kings being able to limit his passing out of offensive rebounds. And the Warriors just really, everyone struggled for them. Steph hit some pretty big shots to keep the game close. Every time it seemed like we were going on a run, Steph would hit a three to stop it. But not much help for him in this one. Wiggins wasn't doing enough. Clay wasn't doing enough. Poole hasn't done anything all series. So I expect, you know, the game 7 to be a little bit more of a battle than this one was. But it should be fun. It should be crazy in Sacramento. Everyone counted us out in this game. You know, all the TV personalities, all the fans as well, because the Warriors don't lose at home and they had all the momentum. But man, a 19-point win is pretty crazy. And keeping the Warriors under 100 points. I said with about 2 minutes to go, or 2.5, when the Warriors were on 99 points, I'm like, come on, hold them to under 100, even though it was garbage time. And stop after stop, I'm like, this might actually happen. We might actually hold them under 100. And then Jordan Poole, because I was like, they have no offensive players out there. And then Jordan Poole gets a wide open lane, just misses a dunk. I was so happy. I'm like, yes, we held them under 100 because he missed the dunk. That just kind of encapsulates Jordan Poole's series, though, missing that dunk. He's had such a rough one, so hopefully he doesn't finally turn up in Game 7. But maybe it'll balance out if Huerter finally shows up as well. Anyways, that is it for this episode of the Royal Report. I will see you guys to recap Game 7. Peace.